Good. Tade, come and sit down. This place is a dump. What am I doing here? Hey? Oh, I'm your new manager. I'm on a new team. What about UAE? No, don't worry about them. Bought you off them for cool 92,000. 92,000. I've got a $200 million buyout. These are Fanta millions. They're not very exchangeable. All right, what's my first race? Oh no, you're not going to be racing actual races. I'm not racing. No, it's FantaCycling. Yeah, FantaCycling, it's an app. I've never heard of it. Well, welcome to the virtual world, my boy. Let's go. For the last month, I've been running a fantasy cycling league. It's been through the app FantaCycling, and today I'm going to run you through what I have learnt and what my recommendations are in regards to using this app. So without further ado, let's get into it. With a little bit of ado though, you might have realized that this is my first video in a little while, and the reason behind this is that honestly making these is a time laborious process, and I've been getting sick. I've got my family and I have a full-time job, which is just that. It is a full-time job, and yeah, when I started this channel I didn't realize, maybe it was hubris, but making YouTube videos, yeah, it takes time. So yeah, bear with me, but thank you for everyone that has jumped on lately. Genuinely appreciate it. I know that consistency is key to getting these things actually going, but consistency is just something that I am really struggling to offer at the moment. Appreciate your patience. Heaps going up on Instagram though, if you want to jump over there. That is my, yeah, I guess primary focus considering the growth that I'm having on there. So, what is FantaCycling? Well, hey, good question. FantaCycling is a fantasy cycling app. The way that it works is that you pick a fantasy team of 30 riders and you race them. Well, they race and you get points based on how they perform in real life races. You might be familiar with, if you're Australian, fantasy NRL or AFL leagues, in America, NFL, or in Europe, football with EPL and stuff like that. It's a way of, I guess, getting involved without having to put a punt on, which is something I am all about. So like most fantasy apps, it is free. There is a paid option. This gets rid of ads, and it also allows you access to certain leagues, and there's like a whole collector card system that is locked behind the paywall. I haven't been able to engage with that because I've put no money into this. I've just been accessing the free service, and honestly I've had a pretty good time. We'll talk more about this in the summary, but I've actually been surprised. I went into this thinking it was a good fit, a good partnership between myself and FantaCycling, but I didn't know how much I would get out of it. I thought it would be more something that my followers would be interested in, seeing as if you follow me, I assume that you are somewhat interested in pro cycling, at least on Instagram. Okay, so I set up a team, set up a league, and I encourage people to come over and jump on. I've learnt quite a lot, and so yeah, here are 3 pieces of advice I would give you if you are going to dip your toe into fantasy cycling through the FantaCycling app, and also one thing if you were going to set up your league, because heavy is the burden. Whoa, man. Oh, lots of people expect a lot from a guy running a fantasy cycling league. Anyway, let's get into it. Tip number 1, knowing how points work. I'm going to simplify this, and it is more complicated up here, and if you really want to dive into this, you know, these things are a bit like Pandora's box. Once you open them, there's no way to get yourself back into it. I don't know, that's the best analogy. I'm sure there is another one in ancient Greek literature, but essentially you can go as deep into this as you want. I've stayed relatively shallow, and so what I've been trying to do is the simplest way to get points. Pick a team with a top 20 percentage. Now, I didn't do this initially. I thought it would run differently in that you would get benefits for domestiques and stuff like that. Now you do, you might have seen that on the rolling list, but the best way to get points is by having riders achieve top 20s. Pick your team based around this. If you're not sure how to pick this, maybe go to previous races and have a look at people that are scoring, you know, top 20s, but maybe not necessarily within the top 10 because they're going to be cheaper and you might be able to develop a team. Essentially what you are doing is you're trying to make 500 Fanta millions go a certain way, and for example Tadej Pogacar is worth 92 Fanta millions, so 500, 92, you don't have many people after you've bought Tadej, so you really want to sort of stretch that budget, and this would be the best way that I would suggest that you do it. Number 2 is knowing which riders are going to be in each race. Now you can do this through the app by going to team lists, and this is actually really helpful if you're just curious about who is in a race, and this is something that I'm going to talk about again a bit later when I'm summing up, but this was a feature that I used not just when I was playing the game, but also just when I was curious about who was going to be in a race. I wanted to know whether certain riders were racing in future races, partly for planning my social media, but also just out of genuine curiosity to see whether rumors that are coming out on the cycling news are correct. And the app has a space for that. But the other way, once you've picked your team, to identify is, are they green or are they black? If the riders are green around or a green frame, this suggests that they are racing, and if they are a black frame, they are not. You must pick 9 people to go into your team, but picking green people is going to give you an opportunity for points. If they are black, there's no opportunity, or at least it's my understanding that there are no opportunities to score points. You just have to have a full team. Okay, trick number 3 builds on tip number 2. And really what this is around is making sure that you choose your team as close to the race as possible. The problem that I had at the start was there would be 5-6 races in a week. I'd go and pick all my teams at the start of the week, and then I'd find that I didn't get many points because some of my races had dropped out, and also some people had updated their team list to be in the race that were on my team but that I had not selected because I didn't think they were going to be in the race. Make sure that you do it as close to the race as possible. We all know how quickly team lists change. For example, I thought Puck Peters was going to be on the podium in Paris-Roubaix, and she dropped out the night before, which really stuffed up my prediction. But yeah, make sure you're doing it as close as possible. You have a time limit, it has a countdown on the app, and yeah, just make sure you try and time that as close as reasonably possible to jump off so that you don't get any surprises. All right, so they're my main tips in the game. Let's jump over to my main tip for running a league. You can transfer in the app. You can set up how many of these transfers you want. The person that does that is the person managing the league. Set your expectation. Talk to the people in your league, or just say this is a league with X amount of transfers. Now, when I went in, I had assumed that there were no transfers. This was something that I learnt was in the game. I figured once you picked your 30 team players, that's it. You race the season with those people. And so, as I said, I picked a team that I thought would achieve over multiple different styles of races, whereas if you've got a transfer window that is open, you can select a team for the classics and then select a team for the Grand Tours later on in the season when they're actually running. So my team really has been subpar. Some people want to select teams for almost every single race, or at least different phases of the season, and you need to be aware of this, and again, like I said, set those expectations. I've now gone to a point where I've just opened up the transfer season across the entire year. I've given everyone X amount of transfers and said, you go nuts, because that seemed to be the consensus in the group chat about what everyone wanted. But again, I would just say be aware of this and make sure that you are setting rules and regulations around your transfer window that everyone wants, because this really impacts whether people are able to enjoy the app or not, and whether they feel like they're able to achieve. I guess if you've made bad choices, or hey, for example, like one of your riders gets injured, let's say Tadej Pogacar, touch wood he doesn't, let's say he totally axes himself in the next race and he's out for the season. Someone spent 92, it's almost 1/5 of your budget just on that one rider, and yeah, now he's gone. So some people want that flexibility. Other people might want that gamble. That's up to you to decide. But yeah, be aware of the transfer market. In order to do it, you click repair market. All of the stuff would have been coming up here, and then you do the details. It's pretty easy. As for the app itself, I actually think it's really fun. The ads have kind of annoyed me a little bit, and it would, if I was really getting into it, it would be the thing out of anything that pushes me into the premium tier. But aside from that, I actually find it really enjoyable. I really like playing the game. It has made me care about some races that maybe I never would have even known were being run were it not for me playing the fantasy cycling game. So yeah, I'd genuinely recommend giving it a go. The stats breakdown on the riders itself is equal to pro cycling stats. It doesn't give you as historic a race history. Pro cycling stats has all of a rider's race history, but this does give you their recent race history, and it also has a price market fluctuation for the price of these riders in the game, and that's a really good measure of their form. It's a really good form guide to work out how you think certain riders are going, and you might use that in order to decide whether you're gonna make punts on riders if you are a gambling person, which I certainly am not. But in Australia, for example, it is really hard to find odds on pro cycling races. This might be something that would help you if you were interested in that. Me, I don't gamble my money because honestly, I'm emotional and I would be bad at it. If you want to jump on, download the app. I've got some links down here. Thanks FantaCycling for reaching out for the collaboration. I've genuinely enjoyed my month with your app, and I certainly will be continuing my league. But yeah, I would love to see on there. The code to put in to join my league is also in the description. It'll also be up there, but you can't copy and paste from my YouTube video. So enjoy, and I will see you in the next video. Hopefully, is sooner rather than later. Peace.